Find out what's going on. Get involved. Change things from the inside. Make a difference. Take pride. Multicultural at its best. The Louisa Marshall Show. Coming up.
Here's the continuation of Jamie's story of courage and
I
survival.
wanted to die. I swore I would never try to do that again.
His PTSD buddies. And special highlights of our trip to Newfoundland.
All right, this is where Terry Fox started the Marathon of Hope.
On last week's show, raising PTSD awareness from coast to coast. We made it to Newfoundland, raising PTSD awareness, reaching the furthest eastern point in Canada and the whole of North America. We encountered the soldier and his story of courage and survival. Jamie Macwhirther was born and raised in Corner Brook, Newfoundland. At age 17, he joined the Army as an infantryman for 8 years. Then he was transferred as a trucker posted in Edmonton in 2004. In 2006, he served his country as a trucker in Afghanistan, returned to Canada, and was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder in 2008.
But in 2008, I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder.
Coping up with his life, he wrote a book in 2011 about his tour in Afghanistan and his experiences with PTSD. He went on a tour to spread PTSD awareness and helping people with PTSD by founding PTSD Buddies.
I went from hiding in my basement from the world to standing on stage telling my story. So I wasn't the same person. So going back to Newfoundland blew up in my face. There was a time I felt so alone. With PTSD Buddies, our motto was no judging, just understanding. Surrounding yourself with people who understand. You can't hide it from your family. It's not, I don't want to call it bullying, but you know,
It is bullying.
It is bullying. You know, people always want to know, why would you want to go to Afghanistan?
Exactly.
My answer to that is,
We will continue with Jamie and Newfoundland. Jamie wrote his first book, A Soldier's Tale, in 2011 about his experience in Afghanistan and PTSD. During his break, he travels all over Canada and makes PTSD awareness by sharing his story and helping others to cope and understand PTSD.
the people always want to know, why would you want to go to Afghanistan?
Exactly.
My answer to that is, when you serve with a bunch of people, men and women, and I mean, we train together, we sleep next to each other, we're out driving together, most times we shower next to each other, we're family. You become so tight with a group, and when that group goes overseas, it's impossible not to go with them. I mean, if you have children, right? Well, I shouldn't say, I can't compare it to children. Like, I know what it's like to have children now. There's no love stronger, in my mind, than what we have for our kids. But if you have brothers and sisters who are going to a fight, for me, it's impossible not to go with them. I mean, I have this tattoo. We were called the Lions Den overseas, right? They're family. I couldn't, and if I didn't go and something happened, I don't know if I could live with myself. The guilt there, right? Yeah. But I mean, everyone I went overseas with, I consider them family. I still keep in contact with them. I best I can anyway.
Yes.
Facebook helps.
PTSD Buddies.
It's all over the world. It's there's 13, I think, different groups. I mean, we have a few in Canada and the provinces, but there is an American group, there's an Australian group, Europe, UK, but the ones I like the most are supporters and junior. Supporters is for people who don't have PTSD, but live with somebody with PTSD. I've learned that my wife needs someone to vent to, because a lot of times I'm not going to understand, or I'm going to take something the wrong way, right? So if a person, like let's say a spouse, has somebody in their family, in their house with PTSD, they can join, and the spouse who has PTSD gets blocked, so they never see anything, right? So it's a place for spouses or loved ones to come up with ideas on how to better help the person with PTSD, or just vent. A lot of times people just go on PTSD to vent. Now, we do have guidelines to follow in the group that are pinned to the top of the group. And one of them is, if you want to share a trauma story, you label it, warning, trauma story. We learned throughout PTSD Buddies is only a year old, but we learned that you don't always want to read a trauma story, right? And I've learned the worst thing you can do to somebody with PTSD is to ask them to relive the trauma. And that's the first thing we've always done.
Yeah.
You know, if you went and got in a car accident, you come back and say, oh my God, I was just in a car accident. Oh my God, what happened? And then you're going to relive it all. That's the worst thing you can do. What I advise now is you got to give someone minimum 24 hours. To me, that's also a mistake the military made when I first came home in Afghanistan. I don't know if it still is nowadays, but when I first came home, the first thing they did, if I got home on a Sunday, I was in the work in the base on Edmonton Monday morning. There was no time off. We had to do 3 days of evaluations with medical doctors and head doctors and things like that. And I understand the whole physical doctors, but I didn't understand going to see a head doctor right away, a psychiatrist, because there was no real time to process. And on top of that, you just spent 7 months away from your kids and your husband, okay? Now, before we let you go see them, we need you to answer these questions. Now, honestly, are you going to answer those questions exactly the way that doctor wants to, or are you going to be truthful? In my mind, I told him exactly what he wanted to hear, because I knew when he was done with me, I was gone home to see my kids, right? So I told him exactly what he wanted to hear. Are you sleeping well? Well, you know, I only got home yesterday, but so far it's been okay, right? It didn't make sense to me. To me, it was like, okay, check in the box. Jamie was checked out by a medical doctor, he's good. No, let the man go home, let the woman go home, let them calm down, let them see their family, let them process what he just or she just went through. Then we'll talk. And you know, a lot of times too, like I've heard now a lot of organizations have someone in place to deal with, you know, that they have a boss. And if somebody goes through something traumatic, the boss will talk to you. I think that's wrong. Unless the boss is trained in mental health.
Yes.
Right? Just because
Exactly.
he's your boss doesn't mean he's the one, well, you know, maybe you should go home and drink a whiskey and you'll be good, right? No, you need a trained professional. I mean, for me, I got 3 years left in my military career.
3 years left.
That's my 20. I'm stepping away. I'm going back to school.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
The military is going to help me go back to school.
Oh, they're going to help you go
Yeah.
back to school. But you were telling me that some of people that you knew with PTSD has been released by the military. What did they do with you in your situation right now?
They're releasing me
They are releasing you.
for PTSD. Now, the thing with me is they gave me a 3-year retention. And what that means is, yes, I have post-traumatic stress disorder. And the reason why they're releasing me is I'm still actually going to see a psychologist. That's something I'm going to have to do the rest of my life, right? My family feels better that I go see this person. That's enough for me, right? But because I'm still seeing ongoing care, they think it's time to release me. But I am still getting top-of-the-line PERs, which is just to see how we're progressing.
Yes.
I'm still passing all the tests. I'm still doing my job. So there's no real reason to release me, but I'm still seeing the doctor. So they decided, you know, it's best for me to step away. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm 40 now, and I joined when I was 17. I did 8 years in the reserves, and I did however many years in the Reg Force. But it's my 20 years, and I'm gonna go back to school. I'm gonna do what I can for mental health. I mean, we're here in St. John's, Newfoundland, in the Canadian Legion, Branch 56, the home of PTSD Buddies. We have an office here. We run a meeting every Sunday. The meeting's today. I also do one-on-ones. I tell people I'm not a therapist, but people like talking to me.
You've been there.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
Jamie, what do you think has to change?
The one thing I don't like is the world is always looking for that quick fix. You know, what's the one thing that's going to work for everybody? You know, we have a broken foot. We got a cast on it. Doesn't matter who comes in, broken foot, cast, right? Someone has a broken, hurt arm. We know a sling, what's going to work for you, me, everybody. But when you deal with mental health, you're not going to find that one quick fix that's going to fix everybody. And that's what the government, I think, is looking for. You know, it's very hard to fix something that affects everybody different. There's so many different aspects to mental health. You got schizophrenia, you got PTSD, you know, there's such a wide, but we all put them into this one bucket and label mental health, and that's the stigma on it, right? I mean, we have the Waterford Hospital here in St. John's, Newfoundland. I heard it's the second oldest building in North America. It's probably time for a new one. I went and visited someone in there, and oh my God, I walked in through the door, and there's nobody. There's not a receptionist, there's nothing. There's not a sign. So I got to phone the guy who I'm going to visit, going, where do I go, right? And he tells me that there's an elevator. And the elevator's like this little tiny World War II elevator kind of deal. And I'm like, I don't want to get in that elevator. I might get PTSD going in that elevator, right? I mean, like, to me, it's just, there's no warm, I said it before, no warm, fuzzy feeling about going in there. I mean, you got to make people understand that if you admit you have a problem and you come forward to get the help, there is no judging, there is no anything. We are just going to help, right? And the people in the world don't have that. People in Canada don't have that. They hear about it all the time, about this person lost their job. You know, this person has friends who don't understand. They're getting bullied at work.
But it's so sad.
It
But
is.
I think we as a society and as a community, each and every community can do something about it.
I created a spot where you can also find a PTSD buddy. That's why there's an Australia group. That's why there's a St. John's group, right? A
Yes.
Corner Brook group, an Ontario group, right? Yes, it's good to have that support online.
That's wonderful.
Right? But
And
we-
it's so easy too.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how the veterans before, no Twitter, no Facebook, no email, no nothing. They're just
I think that's how
completely
Legions got started.
just yeah. Wow.
Right.
Because this is such a better place for everybody, for all the veterans to come.
Veterans
Eh,
from World War I needed
yes.
a place to get together
Exactly.
and vent to each other. So they created a Legion. That's how I believe it started. A group of
Amazing.
guys with PTSD needed somewhere to talk because their wives had enough.
Yes. Oh, I think everybody should get a copy of A Soldier's Tale, a Newfoundland soldier in Afghanistan. This is a true story of Jamie's experience. Jamie, you're coming up with your second book.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Well, when the first one came out,
Yeah.
everyone wanted to know more about what it's like to come home. That talks about the tour and what a soldier kind of goes through. They really liked it because I was no officer. I was just a guy, right? So you get to see.
I like the way you said that.
Yeah,
I'm just a guy.
I'm just a guy. I was just a corporal overseas. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I wasn't making any big decisions, but I do talk a little bit what it was like for me coming back home and how I knew something was wrong. But they want to know more about how I dealt with it, what went down.
Oh yeah.
I won't lie to you. There was a time that I thought I would be better off, or the world would be better off without me. I told you about when I went to Newfoundland, and it blew up my face. Then I told you about how I went to work, and that didn't pan out. Well, when you tell your wife that you're going to get help, and you actually don't get the help, and things keep blowing up in her face, a woman's only going to take so much. And at one point, Vanessa told me she was going to leave the fighting, right? And I remember watching her walk out the door with Avery. I thought that was it. I thought everybody was gone. I said, here's Newfoundland, who doesn't understand. No one in Newfoundland understands. I come to work and nobody understands, and I can't go to my buddies because I don't know if they're suffering the same way. I found out later that they were. A lot of them were, but nobody would talk.
First thing of all, they're scared to talk about it.
Yeah, we are. At that time, especially because nobody talked about it. And a lot of times you don't talk about it. I mean, when we were overseas, I knew if I couldn't show up to work that day, or I couldn't go on a convoy, someone was taking my spot. And if someone got hurt on that convoy, well, my God, how would I feel? So if you had a bad back, for me, I had a broken thumb for a while that I was hiding overseas. Well, I didn't want someone else to go in my spot for something to happen. So you got so used to hiding it, hiding all the pain, hiding everything, just so you could keep being that guy, that you never talked about stuff like that. Guys back in the 90s, back in the 80s, 70s, they never talked about that anyway, right? No man showing emotion at all, right? You're a man, especially a man in uniform. But when I felt like everybody had left, I remember looking at myself and going, well, you got exactly what you wanted. You pushed everybody away. You wanted to be alone in the basement, now you are. But when you get that, you realize then that that's not what you wanted at all. And at the time, the doctor had me on pills. And with Vanessa walking out the door, I said, fine. I took every pill in the bottle. I drank it with a glass of whiskey, and I gave the finger to the world. I said, Vanessa will find someone better than me, someone who's not going to yell and scream or have nightmares, right? There were times that I've woken up from nightmares covered in sweat, and I have grabbed Vanessa in my sleep. I've had woken up to the kids at the end of my bed crying because their dad is screaming out bloody murder in his sleep, right? So I took all the pills and I wanted to die. And two soldiers, Paul and Jeff, this is all in the new book, broke down the door and revived me. And I sat for a long time just in the zone, right? And call it what you want, call it a God thing or what, but I turned on the TV and a movie, just as I turned on, a movie started to play. The movie was called A Boy's Life. It was Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio. And in the movie, Robert is Leonardo's stepfather. So for some reason, it was a connection for me. All I thought about was me killing myself, Vanessa having this guy with the new boy, right? Anyway, in the movie, Robert beats the hell out of Leonardo through the whole movie, right? Beating up his stepson. And I broke down and cried because all I thought about was Vanessa meeting somebody new who was like that. So I swore I would never try to do that again. I had no right to make that decision for Avery. And I know nobody's gonna love him more than me, right? But I always like to think that it was an angel or some act of God who put that movie on for me. I've only ever watched it once. I haven't watched it again, but it really pushed me the other way. And now my kids are my motivation. They're my motivation to do this, to do PTSD Buddies, because I mean, I do PTSD Buddies Junior. PTSD Buddies Junior is for ages 13 to 18. Because after talking to my kids' school, I realized that there are so many kids out there stressed, right? Dealing with bullies, dealing with school. So PTSD Buddies Junior gives them a place to talk to other kids with PTSD. It's not run by me, it's run by a retired child psychologist in Newfoundland, right? So don't worry, it's not me talking to kids, right? But we do have some 18-year-old kids who have been in their position So they're kind of leading the way for these younger kids, right? And it's not just kids with PTSD, it's kids with parents with PTSD. My son Avery is a member.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, it's working.
Wow. Wow.
It's working because it's being run not just by me, by members, by people who are living it, right? And who knows better for them than them?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Was that Newfie or not?
Yeah, it's Newfie. Well, we're having a great time here in St. John's, and yes, I'm pretty honored to be talking to you, Jamie.
Oh, back at you.
Yes, I wanted to just let everybody know that yes, we did it to St. John's, and here we are with probably the best person to talk about PTSD, Jamie, and he has a book. Right now I'm holding it, and now he's coming up with his second book. Jamie, last thing, what do you say to all those people who are suffering from PTSD?
If you have PTSD or you know somebody with PTSD, go on Facebook, type in PTSD Buddies. You will find us. There's no judging, there's just understanding. We don't care about how you got post-traumatic stress disorder. If you want to share that, please share it. It might be good to get it off your chest. But at PTSD Buddies, we'll help you learn to live with it. You're never going to beat it, but you'll learn to live with it. I promise. So find us on PTSD Buddies. Okay? You're not alone. You're not alone.
You're not alone. Thank you, Jamie.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Jamie told me to kiss a cod.
Yeah, we're going to screech her in.
Screech her.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so amazing talking to you, Jamie.
Oh, you too.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I hope to come back here again.
I hope so.
And let's do more PTSD awareness.
Thank you for all you're doing.
Oh, my pleasure.
Oh.
World War I.
That's Fort St. John, overlooking Fort St. John right here. That's so cool. All right, this is where Terry Fox started the Marathon of Hope. It is his marathon of hope and hope for everyone undergoing problems with cancer. So this is called the Mile Zero.
It's an honor and a sheer pleasure to meet Jamie and his wife, Vanessa. I salute you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Our greatest gratitude to all the amazing people of Newfoundland for the love and support. For latest news and updates, please go online, metrovanindependentnews.com. Please check latest updates on Hope Beyond Thunderdome Tour on Facebook. Please don't drink and drive, don't text and drive, always be kind. Let's stop bullies. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.